Hey, good Sunday afternoon, YouTubies. It is May 31st, and it is a beautiful day here at Summerfield Farm and Draft Horses. The point behind this video was my sister Laura, her husband Daniel, and a couple other of my good friends have asked me, hey, how did you do the solar setup for your barn? And this video is just kind of informative for them. It's nothing fancy. I'm sure that if you were to do something like this, opinions are like rear ends. Everybody has one. So there's multiple ways that you can do things. I chose to do it this way, not only as a test, but it's my first, dipping my toe into the solar panel world, the solar world. So I did a lot of video researching on YouTube, and used a lot of RV videos as my training, I guess, just to see what I wanted. And then after watching all those videos, I turned around and designed a system for my barn that I thought was pretty acceptable. So what I ended up buying was, two 12-volt, 200 amp hour deep cycle marine batteries. I bought a solar charger, a power inverter, what do they call it, pure sine power inverter, the cables, the fittings, blah 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 blah. So the point of this video was to kind of show you how I kind of sort of put it together. It is still in test mode, beta mode if you will, so nothing that you see is kind of permanent at the moment. Well, we'll just get to it. So what you see here first of all are 100 watt solar panels. There are two of them. The wood that you see them kind of sitting on are temporary, what I call tables. You notice that I kind of just built a platform, nailed some legs into it. Nothing fancy, nothing over glorified. These are set, you can put panels into two modes. You can put them into series or parallel. Both of these panels currently at the moment are in parallel. A lot of people say, well, what's the reason? Why would you do that? If you put them in series, you keep the amperage exactly the same, but the voltage goes up. So in other words, if this was 12 volts and this was 12 volts, if you put them together in series, they would be 24 volts. If you put them in parallel, then they put out 12 volts, but the amperage increases. So here's some specs for you. These are 100 watt rated solar panels. And a real bright sunny day, you'll get about 18 volts off of each panel. So in parallel, they are going to do anywhere, well, it depends on the sun. Obviously, if it's a cloudy day like today is, you'd be lucky if you get 12 volts. But the amperage, so they're 100 watts, 5 amps. So in this case, they are in parallel, so you'd get anywhere from, say up to 18 volts combined, but you get a total of 10 amps. And you say, well, why would y'all want greater amps? The bigger the pipe, the faster, so to speak, in plain Jane English, the faster that the power goes to the charger. So anyway, this long diatribe, you've got two panels set in parallel, roughly 12 volts, 10 amps. Okay, I ran a very temporary indoor outdoor what do you call it, 12 gauge wire. So this one is tied to this one with a couple of factory wiring. It's all made up underneath, connected with weatherproof connectors just in case. I mean, it's underneath, chances are getting wet, it's probably none, but went ahead and hooked those up, ran that with temporary 12 gauge wire. I'm sorry for the video shaking, trying out a new selfie stick. All right, and then you've got just your temporary wire, and again, this is just temporarily stapled just to kind of get it out of my way so it's not a trip hazard. And then I run it up top, and I've got a junction box up yonder. Hey guys, so I was in the process of doing a video for you guys about the solar setup that I did in my barn, and I got wife swooped. She wanted to muck out one of the stalls, and so since I can drive the ATV and she can't, she asked me if I would come give her a hand. So I had to put the pause on the video for a little bit. We got that taken care of, and so well, back to the video. Before I do that though, this is why I got wife swooped. That is Chuckles, the black one, and I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but then you've got the white and black one. We call him Mr. Magoo. So we had to muck out this stall. They had gotten a little frisky with their bowel movements, so we cleaned that up a little bit, and now, an hour or so later, time to get back to the video for you guys. So first of all, hello. This is my electrical room. You'll see that I've framed it in. I've not completed it yet. I've still got to put a door up onto it. Got all my tools and accessories down there. But this was super easy to do. I put a ceiling fan. Let's see if I can spin that up. I put a ceiling fan in there just because now that it is sealed, you know, it doesn't get a whole lot of airflow in it. Still got to work on the roof a little bit, and I got to make a couple things more permanent, such as hiding the wire for the ceiling fan, hiding the wire for the incoming solar wire. But temporarily, this will work just for the moment. You can see I've shimmed the bottom of the door so that when I put the door on it and then I hang the hinges, it actually won't, you know, rub. This is a 100-year-old barn door that I picked up. It's a great door. Problem is the hinges are sealed shut. So what I need to do is get some WD-40 and fix that. But this is the electrical room. Its sole purpose is to house all the electrics. Duh. It originally wasn't supposed to be this large, but when the wife made the stall over yonder, it just ended up being this large. So you have to excuse the blue box fan. That's just temporary. I kind of put it in here for storage. But let's get to the goodies. So we talked about on the solar panels that were outside, they are 100-watt panels. Panels only put out about 80% of what they're capable of. So you figure if it was charging, if it was receiving a full days of full things of solar, it would only put out about 80 watts. So you can see I kind of did some math here, guys, for you. I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but a battery that is not in use, a battery that is just resting, 12.6 volts is typically a 100% charged battery. 12.5, 12.4, you go on down the list. You get down to about 12.2 and it's 60%. 12.06 is 50%. So you can kind of do the math yourself. When you do your solar setup, do the math and make sure that you never drop below 30%. And the reason being is if you do, you shortened the life cycle of your battery or batteries. So 11.75 in my case is 30%. I never let my batteries go that low. If I see it get even close to that, I will break out a trickle charger. I will run an extension cord out here to the barn and I'll throw it on trickle charge for a couple hours or a day or two. Kind of give you an idea, last week we had, out of 7 days, we had 5 days of cloudy skies and or rain. I was able to use the batteries for a full 10 hours of AC, fan, you name it, power tools, the whole shebang. On November of last year, this was the shortest day, as far as I could tell. It was the shortest day of the year because of overcast and storms and etc. And it took 7 hours to fully charge the batteries with no load. Currently, I am running two 12-volt deep cycle batteries. Each battery is 200 amp hours at a 0.70 threshold drain rate. I've got roughly 3360 watts available to me at any given time. You say, well, what is this meter right here? This is a cheap Amazon knockoff 12 to 18 volt voltmeter and amp meter. By the way, anything that I describe in these videos, I will put a link to below. So this will tell you how much voltage and how many amperage, how many amps are coming across the solar panel outside. Now remember, I showed you I had two 100 watt solar panels tied in parallel, and they're coming into the electrical room. Now currently both of them together are putting out 13.4 volts at 1.2 amps, which tells you basically right now that even though it might be a sunny day, there's a cloud over the sun, or etc., etc. So 13.3 and 1.3. 13.3 is the amount of voltage that the panels are putting out from the sun, and then the flashing is 1.2, 1.3 amps. That's how many amps that those are going, that they're putting out. Obviously, we talked about this in the other video. When you put panels in parallel, you keep the voltage the same, but the amperage increases. And you want the amperage to increase because that fattens the pipe. See, now it's at 6.6. You want to fatten the pipe so that the electricity, flows faster, less resistance, etc., etc. The way I've got this is the solar panel comes into a junction box up in the ceiling and comes down this wire, okay? And inside of this wire and inside this breaker panel, this quick disconnect, I have put in a 30 amp fuse. Now, when I designed this entire circuit, I figure I'm going to put out 6 panels. Each panel puts out 5 amps. So, maximum 30 amps of power is what I would be receiving from 6 panels. Therefore, I put in a 30 amp breaker, and basically it's just a very quick disconnect. Boom. What does that mean? That means that no solar power is currently getting from the panels to our charge controller. And now if you look at my meter now, you'll see 18.4 and 0.4. Okay, so this is going to go up again. 17.5, well, probably because it's clouds or whatnot, but 18.1 and 0.4. Now, if I turn the breaker back on, now I have solar coming from the panels into the barn, into the electrical room at 3 amps and 13.3. Okay, so it's just a very quick disconnect. This is an indoor square D, indoor outdoor. It was designed for outdoor, weatherproof. It was a little more expensive than my other breaker boxes. Originally I was going to put this up on the roof, and you don't have the disconnect there. And then I got to thinking about it, who wants to climb up on a roof and use a disconnect? So I went ahead, sucked up the fact that I spent a little too much money on an outdoor one and installed it in here. And I cut through the cap, ran a small piece of PVC, and ran my amp module and my wires up into here. Now the amp module goes around the positive of the incoming solar. That's how I get the amperage, and then the voltage is tied into the circuit breaker. So this is 12 volts, a 12 volt system coming into this disconnect. Inside of the box, I also have all 3 circuits for the barn. Electricity, GFI, and then a 3rd circuit for an industrial size fan that I've not quite installed yet. So they do all share the same pipe, but they're all insulated. They don't touch each other, and the AC actually bypasses inside the breaker box and runs down that wire right there. This, by the way, will be your friend. It is flexible conduit. Gotta love it. However, the left brain in me, the anal retentiveness in me, really would prefer hard piping. But I did the soft stuff because I had bought it and I needed to use it and get rid of it, and it was just sitting in the barn not doing anything. So I did not go with hard pipe. So again, your 12 volt and your 120 volt, they all go through here. They go through the breaker boxes, pass through, up through the piping, and into this custom built battery box that I built. Okay, and so what we have inside are two deep cycle 12 volt marine style batteries. And again, I have these in parallel. So, you know, 12 volts, and I've got them tied together in parallel. And what you can't see, the camera probably won't break, well, maybe the camera will pick it up, but back there in the back, you'll see a 30 amp fuse. And that's so if there's any, you know, power spikes or whatnot, it blows the fuse. And then I've got the wire coming up, and it goes behind my inverter. Now this is a Vertimax Pure Sine 3500 watt inverter. And Pure Sine is better than the other version because it makes the engine or the electricity cleaner. It's better for your electronics and whatnot. Excuse me. So the 12 volt comes out of the battery, goes into the fuse panel, which I don't know if the camera will pick up. I'm sorry, to the 30 amp fuse, goes up, ties into the back of the inverter, and then the inverter's job is to convert that to AC power. And AC power, I have four circuits actually, as we discussed. I've got one that is hardwired into a 120 volt GFI plug that's here in the electrical room. This is just for if I want to charge something, if I want to run power tools, whatnot. So, you know, standard household 120, and I've got it hardwired. Then it has three mobile ports. One is for what I'm going to call the fart fan, the big industrial fan that we're going to install in the barn so that we have circulation running through the barn. One for my lights, anything electrical light wise, like the stall doors, the overhead shop lights. And then another circuit for what I call GFI, and this is kind of like this, but further down the line in the barn. So any electrical outlets that are in the barn will be powered by this. Of course, it has also an on-off switch. It has a remote control switch. If you wanted to run a remote control back to the door, you could turn it on and off from the door. It's got a watt switch. Currently, you'll see I'm not really pulling any watts, nothing worth repeating or reporting. A voltmeter. Of course, I ran my wires back through the conduit again and back into the breaker boxes. And everybody says, well, you know, why'd you do that? Well, you know, instead of farting around in there, the doors are shut. You know, the box is completely autonomous. If I kick the bucket tomorrow and the wife needs to come out and there's a problem with electricity, she has these quick disconnects. So she's got a disconnect for the lights, a disconnect for the GFI, and a disconnect for the fan. This is a multimeter / amp meter. It's just a tool that I've got to measure amps, voltage, temperature, etc. I just got it clamped there, just kind of, you know, keep it off the floor, so to speak. So the way this works is you have your incoming juice at, you know, of course right now 6 amps at 13.7. You have your incoming juice. Your juice runs through, bypasses all of this, so kind of ignore this for the moment, and then runs up and runs into your charge controller. Okay, so this is coming from the solar panels, and you can look real closely, you'll see panels, then battery, and then it has the ability for you to plug in like a 12 volt lamp, like say headlights, an LED bar, you know, if you need to have lighting wherever you are. Okay, so this meter is completely programmable. I have it set so that when it reaches 11.2, it no longer allows any juice to come in, and at 14.2 it no longer allows juice to go out. You say, well, why? Well, you want your juice to go into your batteries to be stable, clean, consistent. So a battery is not going to take too kindly if you're trying to charge it at 7 volts, right? Car battery, for example, in your car, when you're running down the road, your engine, your alternator is typically putting out like anywhere from 13.7 to 14.2, and it charges your battery and runs all of your electrical accessories. Well, this is no different. It needs to have more coming in than it has going out. Okay, so you'll see that I've got 13.7 coming in. 13.0 is what is currently being pumped back into the battery bank, and according to this, the battery bank has 12.8 available to it. Remember, we did our math. 12 points, anything greater than 12.6 is 100%. So we are using a ceiling fan and a light at the moment, and we still have more coming in than we have going out. These are good numbers, right? 13.7 in, 13 going to the battery bank, 12.8 at the battery bank. Okay? Pretty easy to understand. Even if you couldn't understand it, they make it real simple for you. Here shows that you have panel, you have power coming in from the panel, going to the battery's happy, and the battery says you have available. It also comes with an LED bar across the top to let you know that the battery condition, we are fully charged. Okay, and again, these are going to be linked below in the comment section. You can get a start on it. I don't remember the pricing on them. I know that the batteries were like $300, $350 a piece, so they are pretty expensive. I know that the Versamax was under $300. Probably could have got a cheaper one, but I wanted to be able to run a hot water heater down the road and a freezer for when we do cattle, deer, and etc., etc. And I did not want that freezer to be on our typical AC grid because we lose power all the time, and so I wanted it to be attached to the barn so that we could, you know, have backup. So in a nutshell, guys, that is the wiring for the electrical room. I tell you what, though, I will run you out here into the barn, and you can kind of see why I did what I did. Okay, so here is a stall door that has not been hooked up yet, and these are little lantern lights. Picked these up at, I think it was Walmart, but I have yet to fabricate a light bulb attachment inside of there. Once I do that, then I will paint this pigtail, and then I will bolt it across the top and then run it up the arm and into the box. Okay, so at every stall door we have a box with power already provided to it, capped off at the moment for safety reasons, but once I'm ready to run those pigtails, I'll attach it to those boxes and we'll hook them up and we'll have lights. So each one of the barn doors have those lanterns. You can kind of look down the line there. Way over yonder at the top of the barn over there, that is a junction box that I currently have a temporary light attached to. Those are going to be for the floodlights and for the cameras. Again, the hay room has a temporary light. You'll see the lantern light over there, lantern light over here, and in front of Jarvis's stall, same situation. Okay, but I ran all the piping. I used the groove on the support columns, so everything's well hidden. And then if you look above, we have shop lights, and those are daisy chained LED shop lights. I picked them up from Home Depot. They were pretty inexpensive. You can run 4 lights off of one circuit. With just those lights turned on, it's enough to light up this entire barn and fully workable. When all is said and done, we will have roughly 10 lights that are controllable, and roughly 600 watts of lighting. And then over here on this side, we're going to put, you can see that junction box is sealed up. We'll put a big industrial fan right in there, and it'll suck air through here and get nice ventilation. So the barn is not complete by any shape, form, or fashion, guys. It is very much still a work in progress. I've got crap scattered everywhere, but I'm framing in the tack room over yonder. So I mean, it's very much work in progress. It's come a long way since I started on this. I think I started really started building things probably in December. It started the electrical stuff in late March, and I've pretty much made the barn self-sufficient I want to say it was at the end of April that I took it off the grid. So tell me if you have any thoughts, any questions. I'll be sure to be checking the comment section. And well, it was fun. See you guys. Oh, I'm gonna cut that shit out. That didn't work. All right, so let's try this again. Blooper reel. So on today's episode of In the Creek Without a Paddle. Woo!